Okay, Nate, how about we start just to warm up with you telling me a bit about yourself, how you got into ecotherapy and Gestalt theory and therapy, and about your combining those two things.
So I did my training at Naropa University. So our core theory modality was Gestalt therapy. And I fell in love with it while I was there. It was a really good match for me. And I've continued my work on it. Did a training here, the Gestalt Therapy Institute of Philadelphia. I teach there now. One of the things I love about Gestalt is it was the first modality to look at the environment, not just the intrapersonal, but the interpersonal, but even the more macro. And we look at the field that we're in with a client, which is a lot more than just even what's between us. And also long before I went to school to be a therapist, I was a lover of nature, and my undergrad degree is in wildlife ecology. And a lot of my own personal healing was done in nature, I guess, naturally. And it just seemed to make sense to me. Where I went to school, they had a wilderness therapy program. I have spent so much time in wilderness that I thought I would just focus on the therapy side. But even while I was there, I started doing some work in it, but it wasn't really till I got to Philadelphia and established my practice, Walk Your Path. That's the name of my practice. That I started venturing out and taking clients outside into the Wissahickon. It's where I've done most of my work. Some in West Fairmont Park in West Philly, and just sort of winging it. And over the years, connecting more with other ecotherapists and to my theory, not my theory, the theory of Gestalt therapy, have really just found that the two work very well together, ecotherapy and Gestalt therapy.
Why might the traditional therapy office actually limit certain kinds of healing?
Sure. Yeah. First, I want to say that as ecotherapists, we're not against traditional office therapy. I have an office here in Mount Airy that I see a lot of clients at, and it works really well. And what the distinction is kind of similar to what makes both beneficial, right? The therapy office is safe, contained, predictable, right? But because it's so safe, contained, and predictable, it doesn't access a lot of what happens in real life day to day. And one example is just between the client and therapist. There tends to be a power dynamic between the two. When we're in the office, especially, you can feel it. But when we're out there on the trail and the trail is slippery and muddy, I am trying just as hard or harder to not slip as the client. And it's very easy to see that we're both human and we struggle in similar ways. That's just like a kind of surface level example. From a Gestalt perspective, one of the things I love about Gestalt therapy is the experiment, and is always infinite ways to work with experiment to help the client become more aware of the circumstance they're dealing with. And in nature, that's infinite times infinite, because in nature, everything is moving and changing all the time. And so we're often talking about real life circumstances. And so there's a lot of real life to connect with in nature. Just to give a brief example, in one of the first ecotherapy trainings I helped lead with Philadelphia Ecotherapy, one woman was working on some challenges with processing the grief of her late mother. And she turned around to look at what was present for her outside in the woods, and she just connected with this particular tree that had berries on it. This was like late November, so they were kind of like mistletoe berries, and it just landed with her, and she felt like that tree was her mother speaking to her. And so she was able to kind of have a dialogue with the tree and respond from the tree, and in a way that just felt really authentic and like a really personal connection for her.
You mentioned both you and the client having to negotiate muddy conditions. Do you take your clients out in all weather conditions?
It really depends. Some clients I have never seen inside, worked with them for 6 or 7 years outside, never seen them inside, seen them in every every element. Other clients I've never seen outside. And a lot of clients are fair weather clients. They like to be outside when the weather's nice, which is like basically like April through October, maybe minus 3 weeks in July. And so it really depends, right? And there are safety circumstances that I negotiate. So even the clients that I've never seen inside, don't we don't go into the woods if it's very windy because the trees are dangerous or things like that. Yeah.
What's something nature does in therapy that a therapist simply can't do?
That's a really great question. One way I like to think about it is nature practices mindfulness on us. Like I think of mindfulness as AAA, attention, awareness, and acceptance. And the first two, nature pulls our attention, right? It's so easy to get stuck in our head. And even when we're in the session and we're talking about something very important, it's hard not to notice the bird chirping, the leaves on the tree just gently moving while we're in that. And to understand that although these challenges are deep within us, like we're also out here. And so it kind of pulls our attention out and has us become more aware of that present moment experience, which I find to be the way we like to phrase it is nature is co-therapist, right? It's like while I'm holding space and I'm listening very intently and deeply to this client, what they're sharing and working with them on it, nature is like helping them feel like this isn't it. Although like this feels so important, like there is also that cute chipmunk that just like jumped on that branch and I can't help but smile a little while I'm talking about this may be tragic, maybe intense conflict, whatever the challenge is that we're working on. And so it just helps with a phrase I'll steal from Jack Cornfield, like touch and go. Like we're going deep into something and we're working on it, but it helps us come out of it and come back into the present moment to be right here. Even just the gentle air moving by is doing that all the time. This is all happening. Life is just always pulling us back into the present moment out in nature through the sensory experience.
Why do people sometimes have breakthroughs on a walk that they couldn't reach sitting on a couch?
One of the things is movement. If we look at just like EMDR, bilateral stimulation, that was designed while somebody is walking, and not just walking, but walking outside on a trail, right? And so that bilateral stimulation, if you're doing a walk and talk, which one of the clients that I've never seen inside, we always do walk and talk. That's happening while we're in the session. And although it seems like we need to be talking a lot of the time, it's easier to not, right? When we're moving through nature, it's easier to focus on the ground, focus on where we are. And oftentimes it's in those present moment silences where insights come alive. And so that that continuous experience like over and over, it just is gonna just create more space for that.
Okay, I love that. I'm a big fan of EMDR myself. My therapist introduced it to me, and it's been wonderful.
Yeah.
Like,
Element of.
okay, what is the one thing group therapists could learn from nature?
So, I've been taking groups out for I guess around 7 years now into nature. And I don't have any groups that are only nature. It's always like an outing on a weekend that we'll plan to go out together. And there's something in that experience that we have as a group that lasts and it really enhances the relationships in the group. So, a lot of times people can connect with this in times that they've spent outside in nature with family, friends, looking back on youth. Oftentimes, times in nature show up more succinctly with memories. And this experience in the natural habitat, it helps the clients kind of shift their guard. I don't want to say put their guard down, but shift their guard and become a little more playful with each other and the group, depending, right? And this is one thing that's really important is that ecotherapy, like any kind of therapy, is different for every client, right? You have to get consent from all the members of the group to buy in. And there might be just a lot of working around why one person doesn't want to go out and you never go out. And that creates a really interesting element in group therapy. But I've never had that happen. Usually that person eventually is like, it's okay. And then they love it when they get outside. But there's real life experiences happening together, right? If, let's say, it was a little bit cold that morning, for even in May, they're going to experience that coldness together. It's this way of relating to different sensory experiences that the office doesn't really offer. And just the way that they can explore, like one of the activities that I have them do, because there's always a series of kind of activities that I'll have the group work on, is kind of going off and connecting with a part of nature around something that they're holding and sitting with that part of nature for a little while and coming back to the group and sharing. And just that vivid, lively way of sharing and talking about what's happening for them is just a way for the clients to sort of share it with each other, because all the parts they go off to are not too far away. We can see them. And so we're like kind of brought into their inner experience in that way, being in the same space. We look at Gestalt therapy. One of the key parts of it is the Gestalt contact cycle, right? And to make full contact, right? To really be in the same space and to really be in that present moment together. When we're just sitting in our group circle, like I was last night in my office, in that safe container of a room, it's almost hard to just talk about what's happening right here. But when we're sharing, when we're working through an experience together, climbing a hill together, sitting by the big old sycamore tree and examining it together, there's a lot happening between us around that shared experience that we can bring back to the group, back to the office. And it's still there, that way that we've lived together in a more authentic way, right? Because whatever gender, race, culture you're from, everybody's ancestors spent most of their time in nature. And so we kind of come back to this inherent space that we come from. And it just creates sort of a letting go of, or letting down of some guards to just make that contact to each other.
If nature could speak in a therapy session, what would it be saying to the group?
Yeah. If nature could speak in a therapy session, it would be saying, this is it. And this is perfect.
That was really good. All right. Is there any other questions that you would like to answer that I didn't ask?
I feel like I want to just say that, what my intention is for the training is to really help connect some concepts that therapists might be aware of from Gestalt therapy to group, in the same way that I'm connecting ecotherapy to group. And so whether you're coming for the Gestalt or for the ecotherapy, you're going to get some of both. And they will sort of enhance each other if they are practiced together, but they can be practiced separately. So it's not just ecotherapy or just Gestalt. It really is both of those together.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm really looking forward to your workshop. I
Thanks.
knew nothing about Gestalt therapy or ecotherapy, so now I'm intrigued.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I'm excited that you're intrigued, and I'm excited to be part of that together.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you on April 11th.
Awesome. I'll see you then.